Welcome to another episode of Successfully Live. I'm Adam O'Donnell, the co-founder of Successfully. Today, I'm super excited to be here with Doug Landis in their office. Doug is a growth partner at Emergence Capital. You've worked for literally all the main companies in Silicon Valley. I mean, from Oracle, Monster, Box, Salesforce, Google. I mean, it's really cool, your background. So
It's sometimes better to be lucky than good. I mean, I grew up in the area, so I know a lot of people. I don't know.
That's incredible, man. That's a lot of luck. But no, it's just going to be fun. I mean, so first, I want to address just the elephant in the room. You're not a VP of customer success.
Nope.
That is why. So everyone's kind of like, why are we even doing this? So I want you to first just tell me, like, why should we even listen to you when talking about customer success?
Well, I don't know. You don't have to. Like, I got like 60 seconds to win you over. So give me 60 seconds. I fundamentally believe, as a salesperson at heart for like the last, I don't know, 30 years of my life, while sales is kind of like the drumbeat of an organization, well, you could probably argue that product is a little bit of the drumbeat, but sales is traditionally the drumbeat of the organization. I think in the last 5 years, and what we're going to see over the next 10 years, is customer success is really kind of the anchor of driving revenue within an entire organization. And I'm buying in and jumping on the customer success yacht, if you will, and like full steam ahead. I'm a huge advocate of customer success. However, I think we need to make some shifts in the customer success ecosystem. And so that's why you should listen to me, because I've got some ideas for you.
Today, we're really going to be focusing on just a culture of revenue for a company and making that shift.
If you think about SaaS stands for software as a service. So software and service are equally as important in this whole equation, but yet it's a totally new delivery mechanism. And so, whereas before it was a transaction, now in the world of SaaS, we have to earn our customers' business every single month. And you know what? As a salesperson, typically, you know what we do? We go in and we seed a deal, and then maybe we do the expansion, and then we're out. And I'm working on my next deal. So who's the one that's actually the glue to that relationship with our customers to ensure that they're continuing to love on us, right? And continuing to actually renew? Customer success. And so the thesis of my conversation at Client Success was customer success managers actually really need to become revenue drivers. And so how do you do that? Because everyone in customer success didn't want to get into sales, right? That's like, I don't really want to be in sales, but I love working with customers. So where do I fit? And that's kind of the birthing, if you will, of the customer success organization, or CSMs in particular. But to be totally frank, you have to realize that you have an incredible responsibility and opportunity to help drive more revenue in the organization. But the first thing starts with your mind shift, right? You have to recognize the fact that you can be a revenue driver and not necessarily be a salesperson.
We're hired in as a CSM, which most people do not think is a sales position. And a lot of them have come from support. We've come from product. We've come from a lot of different other areas in the organization. So we're not just that cutthroat. And the way we perceive sales is so different. So, right. So, I mean,
churn and burn on the sales side, right? That's what you think. You think boiler room.
Exactly.
Or if you're old, you think Glenn Ross.
Yes.
Right?
Are you saying that we need to change the culture of customer success or the culture of the whole company? When you say,
I'm saying we need to change both. I think the low-hanging fruit right now is to change customer success. And I think the head of customer success, the VP of customer success, SVP, whatever the title is actually has the opportunity to elevate their status in the organization if they start taking on more of a revenue-oriented function, right? So that means CSMs, you're going to have a quota. It's a different kind of quota. It's an upsell and add-on quota, right? It's your account. It's turning your account managers and even your CSMs into kind of like hunters, right? Because you get to see where the real opportunity is. Where's the low-hanging fruit? Who's ripe to actually expand the usage of our product within that organization? What about referrals into other companies that are just like them or people that they're friendly with? So I think the CS organization is like the lowest hanging fruit in terms of focusing on driving revenue. And then the next organization is marketing. So fundamentally, I think culturally as a company, every company needs to start shifting their mindset to becoming what I call really focused on driving this revenue culture within the organization, CS is the first place to start.
So right when you said use CSMs, you're going to have a quota, like half of the audience is like, this guy's
Yeah,
crazy.
totally. This guy's crazy. He's a sales guy trying to convert us
get
all.
him out, get
That's
him out.
not the case.
And then the other half is like, I completely agree. That's what, like, it's the most dividing topic that we've seen, like 50-50, everyone that we've talked to.
Totally.
Like, what do you say to the naysayers who are right now saying, like, if CSMs have a quota, it changes their culture. They're not able to serve the customer in the right way. They're now literally just another account manager sales.
Right. They're a hunter, right? And all of a sudden that's going to shift their behaviors. Well, listen, you know what drives behaviors? Incentives, right? So incentives drive everyone's behavior. So let's look at the incentive structure that we actually have for our CSMs, and let's reward them for uncovering new opportunities. I'm not saying necessarily you have to uncover $1 million of opportunity this quarter, because that might change your behavior too far, right? And now all of a sudden you're not doing what's in the best interest of our customers. You're doing what's in the best interest of you. So maybe the incentive structure is more like a bonus and not the same commission structure that the sales team is connected to, right? I think the other thing is, for all you naysayers, let's just be really honest. I want you to look at the fundamental skills required to actually go sell something and the fundamental skills required to be a CSM or an account manager. They're so similar. We have to uncover the right people to talk to. We have to reach out to engage them. We have to get them to respond. We have to have a discovery conversation. We have to be able to run a meeting professionally. We have to be able to handle objections. We have to be able to kind of navigate the landscape of multiple people involved. If we're trying to uncover upsells and add-on opportunities, we're almost doing the exact same thing as a salesperson is doing. It's just maybe not as cold necessarily, right? It's warm because we've got an established relationship. But behaviorally, the behaviors are very, very similar. So let's just get rid of these labels called sales and even account management, call everyone revenue drivers. Why not? Right? And then let's focus on the incentives that are going to drive the behaviors that we want, and fundamentally at the core, be customer first. If we do that, I think we might be able to shift.
Do you have any suggestions on how we can tweak quicker to that perfect incentive structure? Because I know, like, when we first put those incentives out there, there's going to be problems.
Yeah.
Customers are going to get pissed off. They're going to get too pushy. How do you have any idea on how we can push towards that to get?
Yeah. Well,
to
I
nail
mean, the
that
first thing
quicker?
is let's test it out, right? So I'm going to give Box all the credit in the world for this. So Box took a team of like 6 CSMs and they turned them into these like strategic CSMs, and they gave them a quota, and they just decided to test it out. And they said, you know what? I want you to partner with your AE, and I want you to dig into these big strategic accounts and look for opportunities, and work with your AE on how do we want to tackle this. If there's an upsell opportunity, if we can sell them new additional products that we just released, how do we want to tackle that? And you know what? If the AE goes and based on their relationship and they go get the deal done, as the CSM, I get paid on that too. So don't be afraid to double comp your CSM teams and your AEs if a customer upsells or they add on new products. Don't be afraid to do that, because again, incentives drive behaviors. So what we want to try and drive, drive the team-oriented approach between CSMs and AEs. I also want to drive kind of the identification of opportunities. So we have to be really clear what that looks like. Like, who's a great fit? What is it? Who are the people that are likely going to be involved? What kind of products fit certain industries? So you have to do a little bit more kind of homework. But guess what? CSMs, you already know all this, because this is what you're doing day in and day out, right? You have the pattern recognition. So why don't we reward you when you say, hey, these guys would be great for this product? Or what if we were to add on all these users that are over in this, kind of this child company that actually needs to work with a parent company? So CSMs, I think by default, are already looking for these opportunities. They're just not getting rewarded for them. And so why don't we reward them and then continue to push those behaviors?
Why can't we just stay the same? Like, CS it's making progress. We're growing as an industry. Things are going well. Overall, why can't we just keep just nurturing the customer and doing the right thing for them? And when the sale comes in, it does. If it's an upsell, great. Why can't we just keep doing that?
I mean, you can. Go for it. Do it. If you're doing great, cool, awesome. I fundamentally believe everyone's leaving money on the table. You're leaving money on the table. Look, AEs are, direct selling AEs are typically incented to go hunt. Find me new logos. We need new logos, right? So if you think about the market, your investors, everybody's evaluating your performance, not just based on kind of net new logos, but growth. Where are you going to get that kind of growth? We're expecting 30, 50, 75% year over year growth, quarter over quarter, quarter over quarter. How do you do that? You can't just do it with net new logos. You cannot. So you have to expand your relationships within your existing accounts by selling them more products or selling them, kind of new additions of your product with additional capabilities, because you'll never hit those revenue targets that the market is holding you to, that your investors are holding you to, that maybe your board is holding you to, unless you're looking for all ways to grow. And growing with an account is one of the best ways to actually hit those revenue targets. Net new logo growth, we know over time, just starts to slow, right? Because it's capacity. Like, we can only sell to so many net new businesses. And if you're even more segmented and you only sell to a specific industry, you know your customer base. So where are you going to get all this upside? Where's the upside? It's in the add-ons, it's in the upsells. And who's better to do that than our CSMs who already have the relationship? Because CSMs traditionally are focused on adoption, right? So if I see great adoption numbers, then guess what? They're a happy customer. Well, if they're a happy customer, why not recommend more products to them that might fit? Now, I'm not saying force products onto them that don't fit. I'm saying if you see the signals, let's start talking to them about ways in which they can get more value out of our relationship. That's the positioning. It's not like, oh, we need to go sell them this product because we got to go sell more of this product. It's like, no, what's in the best interest for our customers?
We already have a lot of things that we're doing. So we're in charge of onboarding, which can take up a lot
totally.
of time. How do you structure your team if you're a VP of CS or if you're a CSM and you have a lot of things on your plate? How do you position your day?
First thing, test it out. Pull out a handful of customers and go test this out with a handful of CSMs and see how it works. Maybe we end up creating a new function, right? So maybe there's one layer, which is the CSM function that just handles all onboarding for all companies, right? So I handle all onboarding for all companies in high tech, and you handle all onboarding for all companies in healthcare and financial services. So maybe that's a function, a step function in the CSM world, right? And then there's a new role that is then created, which is kind of like that revenue role, which they're more focused on. Okay, I'm looking for the upsell and the add-ons. I'm looking for kind of the indicators that would say these guys are ripe to buy. So maybe we just end up creating multiple functions. But guess what? In CS, if you're taking on a number and a quota, guess what? You can ask for more headcount because you're driving more revenue in the organization. So now all of a sudden you have more power and you have a seat at the table and you have more headcount. And now it's a competition between sales and CS, right? But hopefully you guys are partnering, not competing. But, there's you can justify it.
Can you give anything on comp structures that you found, base plus variable for CSM?
So
We've seen it. Yeah,
that's always touchy, right? Because I think if you push the kind of like the fluctuating commission structure, right? 5 to 7% on any deal sub 50K, and then whatever 12% over once you hit to a certain number, and you got accelerators. That's then starts to maybe drive kind of the inappropriate behavior, which is like, hey, I'm just taking deals down just to take them down. I don't care if it's a good fit because I just want to sell more product. I think the kind of the base plus bonus structure creates more of that team-oriented approach. I'm a big believer in that, which is like, hey, listen, like if what do they say when like the water rises, all boats rise, something like that.
Rising tide floats all ships.
Yes, there you go. Thank you. I'm not quite as good with the cliches, but I think again, without pushing the CS organization all the way into the sales pond, we need to keep we kind of need to keep a little bit of distance, because then the question is like, what the hell is the difference between my account managers and my AEs? And in fact, we have a company right now that like, I'm worried that on the account management side, they're actually going to do better than the direct sellers. And then everyone's going to want to jump ship and be part of the account managers because they're killing it. They're going to make a ton of money, right? So it's like, well, we're going to have some distinguishing factors between what an AE does and is responsible for versus what kind of our revenue driving kind of CS folks are responsible for, right? So maybe our AEs are our hunters, the net new logo, that's what they go after. And then the CSMs are responsible after the first year for looking for add-ons and upsells. By the way, the one thing I do consider is give your AEs the opportunity to do that upsell within that first year, because they do all the heavy legwork to get that first deal in. Give them the opportunity to do the add-on on top of that. Maybe make the CSMs responsible for kind of like, year 2, year 3 existing customers over the long haul. Just kind of little nuance to work out.
Account manager and CSM, so not account executive. Like, just how have you seen those terms? Are they pretty interchangeable in your mind?
Yeah, I totally have. Well, so account managers have a tendency of feeling more like they're either the onboarders, right? Or they're the I'm responsible for upsells and add-ons. Um, CSM to me feels more like kind of the big bucket category, right? So account managers would fit into this kind of the CSM ecosystem. Um, and again, do whatever you. I mean, there are no rules. Like, do whatever the hell you want. Call them, you know, I don't know, account. I fuck it. Let's call them revenue drivers. Like seriously, right? Like that's our responsibility as an organization is we're helping to drive revenue, and without having to get like count this or sales this or right. That's fundamentally what we're trying to do is remember all of our jobs, the entire company, including product, including marketing, including sales, everybody should be focused on driving revenue, which means it's a long-term relationship. It's not a singular transaction. It's something that we continue to build and deliver on month over month, year over year, in an ongoing basis.
Year one, you're suggesting that we have that structured a little bit different for the comp on the upsell.
If your typical approach to winning deals is land and expand or seed and grow, right? So that means you're likely going to take anywhere from a 10 to 50K deal down first. And then you're going to build trust and relationship and develop the value for the company to then go take down $1 million ELA, right? An enterprise-wide agreement where the whole company is using your product or getting value out of your product. So if I've done all the legwork to get that 50K deal in, give me the opportunity to take that $1 million deal down. Just give me that opportunity because I have the relationships. If all of a sudden I hand it over to somebody net new, now they're responsible for trying to bring in $1 million deal. Well, then what's the difference between them and me? Not a whole lot, right? So give me a little bit of time to continue to nurture that relationship, prove the value, structure the deals so that we can take down an ELA, and then hand it over to an account manager where there's less of that pressure to take down that $1 million deal, and there's more of the opportunity to look for ways to expand.
It makes a lot of sense. If you're the salesperson, you worked really hard to get that deal, and you're just getting a small one because that's just the model of that business. So me, I mean, I can see that's a very sensitive topic.
It totally is because look, salespeople are coin operated. We can't fuck with that. You cannot mess with a salesperson's ability to make $1 million a year. And you know what, salespeople, if they're lucky, maybe twice in their career they're bringing home a 7-figure check, right? So salespeople who are hunters are going to be more coin operated versus kind of the CSMs who are more revenue drivers. They're going to be more kind of relationship oriented. They're not gonna push the customers because their incentive is, well, if I get this in this month, that gives me an extra 100K in commission, and therefore that helps me pay for the down payment of my new house, right? There's kind of like a different kind of DNA there. But let's not forget, there's still a tremendous opportunity to help drive revenue in the organization, in the business.
So say it is year two now. You're suggesting that you have some kind of transition of like that's when the CSM starts to get the higher variable on that revenue and
Yep.
maintaining that revenue and that
Absolutely.
upsell revenue.
And they have a target. Like I need to get, in this year, I need to get $1 million of upsells and add-ons. I've got 5 accounts to do that from. So guess what? I'm looking for all the white space. So guess what? Now it requires sales ops and, whatever, CS ops to define kind of how do we identify where the white space is within these within these existing accounts. It requires us to pay more attention to, kind of traction and engagement. I mean, hell, you could argue that while there's a massive push right now, or at least this is my mission, is to push everyone to think more about a revenue culture. You could even argue right now that there's probably an equal amount of pressure to focus on the engagement culture, that we're moving more to an engagement culture. That engagement actually helps us to identify adoption, and engagement helps us to identify where the opportunities might exist to upsell or add on. Because if I sell you something that you're not using day in and day out, and so it's taking adoption to another level, then we're not doing our jobs as a company to support you and to add value. And so, on the CS side, if I can start to dig into the engagement data and really understand that, then it should be pretty easy to identify the white space where the opportunities are.
The next thing is just something that I've heard. We interviewed Henry Schuck, the CEO of Discover.org. They're
Yeah.
based
Yeah,
in
it's
Oregon.
great.
He's incredible. They came up with this concept called the CDR, and I just want to get your opinion
Yeah,
on it.
yeah, totally. He
The,
mentioned that at a conference that he was speaking at for a bunch of SDRs. I thought that was really interesting.
it's similar to an SDR role. It's entry level into the CSM world,
Yep.
but basically they're calling on those customers. And he said a large part of their time is spent trying to understand the value that they created for their customer.
Yes, totally. Makes a ton of sense. It's almost like they would, and I mean, dude, that's a precursor to CSMs being revenue drivers because now you're identifying where the low hanging fruit, if we're adding a ton of value to this account or this company, well, why can't we go recommend more products? Why can't we push them to, upgrade to a new edition? Why can't we, there's more, I think there's basically, there's more money on the table, if you will. If we're proving our value, then we have every right and every opportunity to go look for more revenue to come out of that organization, right? And so the CDRs are kind of like that farm organization, identifying where that white space is and who's ripe for us to go after.
CSQLs, customer success qualified leads. Gainsight's talked about this. A lot of companies have talked about it. It's the idea that customer success identifies a lead in the same way that marketing would and then gives it to sales
Right.
to close it. Do they get credit? Should they get credit for this in the same way that marketing gets credit for, hey, we gave you this lead and it turned into a $10 million deal?
Okay. So now I'm going to piss off a lot of people. And I'm going to say kind of three things about this. First thing is, well, you're kind of talking about like funnel metrics, right? And the reality is, screw the funnel. There is no funnel. Funnel's like, it's more of a marketing phrase because in the old days we used to have leads and they convert to customers, right? And that was about it. But now with CS, what happens? There are now potentially new leads, and we go through the same process again. So it's not a funnel; it's a circle, and we're going to talk more about that later. But that's one thing. Second thing is, let's not compare CSQLs to MQLs because, to be totally frank, screw MQLs. I hate the fact that marketing, and this is where I'm going to piss people off, but I hate the fact that marketing is like, that's their drive. Oh, I created, look at all these MQLs I created for you. It's like, no, an MQL doesn't mean shit until they're an actual customer, right? So MQL to customer, I care more about customer and revenue. The marketing, you should care about that too. Not about the number of people that we actually put at the top of the funnel, because half the time, no one actually agrees what a real MQL actually is and if they're the right fit for us. So let's not do the same thing on customer success. Besides the fact that a CSQL, if you will, probably is way more valuable than an MQL because they're already an existing customer. We have a relationship. We don't have to go through the whole cycle with them. We have a massive opportunity to, if we've proven value to them, to actually go and sell them additional products or a new edition, right? So I fundamentally believe if you're going to go that far down the process of identifying a CSQL, let them close it. Let them close. Don't hand it back off to the AE because now, you know what the biggest issue in most organizations? Information exchange. Salesperson to CSM. Do you know how much information gets lost? A ridiculous amount. Because I've taken all these notes and I've got a relationship and like you don't know all the little nuances of the customer and I just hand it over and I'm like, I'm on to my next big deal. And you got to try and, on the customer success side, we got to try and sort out what the reality is. And so I go through this whole song and dance with the customer. Well, why go back and forth? As a buyer, I don't want to do that. I don't want to talk to 3 or 4 different people. I want to talk to one. And it's fine if it was the AE and now all of a sudden it's customer success. Great, you're my person now. And so let's continue this relationship. The analogies I'm going to use it for all you Seattle folks, I'm going to piss you off. But it's almost like, what's a quarterback of Seattle? I don't even remember his name.
He went to NC State. I know that.
Russell Wilson.
Yes.
Okay. So Seattle fans, I'm going to piss you off. But it's almost like in the Super Bowl against the Patriots, Russell Wilson took them all the way down to the 2-yard line, right? The Super Bowl against the Patriots. Why not, when you're 2 yards away, you give the ball to the beast so he can push it in? So easy. But no. The coach, Pete Carroll, ex-USC guy, not a fan because I'm a 49er and an Oregon Duck. But here's the deal. Pete Carroll goes, nope, we're going to put the ball in Russell Wilson's hands 2 yards out. What does he do? Throws an interception. Bad call. Terrible call. He has worked I get it. He's worked all the way 98 yards. But you know what's in the best interest of the team? Hand it off to the beast to run it in. Touchdown, they win the Super Bowl, everybody's happy. Didn't happen that way. Part of that is just making the decision as to who's the best person to do what's in the best interest of the customer. The reality is the CSQLs are being identified by the customer success team. Let them take it all the way across the line and finish it. Don't risk the interception by handing it back off to your AE, who's like the Russell Wilson.
Man, I was making sure we were clear on
it's kind of a janky analogy, but the reality is it's like the switch off, right? Like,
because
do
they
what's
have
in
the
the best
relationship.
interest of the customer.
Let them close the deal. The
Totally.
last piece I want to push on that, someone mentioned that basically if procurement gets involved, then sales has a lot more experience. So if procurement's getting involved with an upsell,
Right.
then sometimes that was their line where it was like, okay, that's when we bring in sales because
Right.
they're professionals and doing that. They focus on
But what
that.
did I say in the beginning? This is about partnering. So revenue drivers, you're about partnering with the AE. So you and I have this relationship together. By the way, we're both getting paid on it. Right? So if I close it, you close it, doesn't matter. We're both getting paid. So if all of a sudden procurement gets involved, I want to bring you back in the conversation, right? Because I need some help. Because this is kind of a situation or a scenario that I'm not as comfortable with. Great. So now you're involved and I get your expertise. And then, oh, by the way, when that's done, I take it across the line and you go work on some new deals, right? So there's some things that we have to sort out in terms of like, well, as the AE, does that, is that retire quota or do you just get paid commission on it? Like, what does that actually do? Same thing for the CS. Is that, like, how does that affect your overall bonus? But again, in the beginning, pay everybody. It's okay because we're getting more revenue out of everybody. So why not? Like, we're earning it.
I love it. I mean, Doug, this has been incredible. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
A lot
Absolutely.
of fun. I love the analogy.
Yeah.
Another great episode of Successfully Live.